Hi everyone, welcome back to my page. I'm so happy to be sitting here today because I've been thinking about doing this video for a while now. I already have made a video on it back on my Instagram, maybe a few months back. I wanted to really explain what my backstory is and why I talk about the subjects that I talk about on my channel and why I went all in the first place, and just have a better context of where I came from and all my past history. I apologize if I seem really sweaty. It's because I am. It is so hot here in Montreal and I do not have an AC, so just don't mind that. I decided at a pretty young age to start taking the contraceptive pill. This is a part of the story because it will make sense later. Around the same time, Instagram started becoming really popular. There started being some really popular fitness influencers, fitness models at that time. And I just remember seeing those models and I did not understand how they could have the bodies that they did. I didn't even know it was possible to have a body like that. And I also made the association towards, oh, they have a nice body and they go to the gym, because they posted a lot of workout videos or workout tips. And I had never really been to the gym at all. I was an athletic kid. I was always into sports, but I had never been in a gym. So that is when I decided to start going to the gym because I wanted to have a body like theirs. And with time, I actually started getting really interested into lifting heavier weights. Probably around 17 when I was really into heavy lifting. I was extremely strong. My goal was to have a really nice butt, and I did that. I really wanted to see how far I could bring my body in terms of strength and in terms of hypertrophy. So that's exactly what I did. At this time, I still had a really good relationship with food. Maybe I was paying a little bit more attention towards having sufficient amounts of protein in the day because I wanted to build muscle, but it was never about fat loss, and it was just about carving out a new body that I really liked. So I did that for a while. And at this point, as I said, still a great relationship with food, but I did slowly become more and more conscious of what I was eating. Nothing drastic, but let's say that instead of having a sandwich, I would maybe go towards a salad, but it would be like a really hefty salad with like cheese and ham and basically no restriction. It's just that I was being more aware of what I was putting in my body. I was putting so much effort in the gym that I wanted to optimize those results. And I had seen, obviously when you start following some fitness influencers, I think that the algorithms just, put some diet stuff with that, and then you just get into that. And then you go down this rabbit hole of what are some superfoods, what is kale, why is kale so great, and acai and chia seeds and all of that. And you really get into that, right? So that's what I did. I really did get into that, but it was never in a restriction mindset. I think it's a healthy thing to be aware of what you're eating, in the sense, what is the nutritious value of certain foods? I think that's super interesting to know. It obviously depends what you do with that information. So maybe around the age of 18, 19 years old, I went on a trip, and at this point I was still lifting extremely heavy, eating well, just doing the most to have a certain physique. And at this point, yes, it was for the mental aspect of it, but to be honest, it was mostly for the physical benefits of working out. So I went on a trip, and coming back from that trip, I saw some pictures of myself on the beach, and I was very unpleased by the way that I looked. Now looking back at those pictures, I find that that's crazy because I looked perfectly fine, and I don't know what happened for me to think that, but I didn't like the way that I looked. I thought that I looked kind of bulky. So I kind of had a click at that moment, and I'm not saying click in a positive way. It was a pretty negative one, actually. I decided I wanted to lose weight, and that was my new goal. It wasn't putting on muscle and becoming strong, it was really to lose weight. And I had never told myself that until that point. So what I did is that I started doing so much cardio, I started running a lot more, I started decreasing my weights, I would really reduce my portion sizes, and I did lose weight. But I think I went a little too hard, and I really got into this mentality of wanting to lose weight, and it became this habit almost, so I didn't know how to get out of it. Something else that I think is really important in my story personally is that at some point I went to go see a naturopath, and I'm not bashing any naturopaths at all. I'm just giving my experience. So you take what you want and you leave what you want. And I think the naturopath that I'm about to talk about was doing her job. I think it's just the way that I clicked with the information that she gave me that messed up in that sense. Basically, she put me on this 2-week detox diet. It was super restrictive. No fruits, no sugar of any kind, so from fruits or refined sugars, obviously. No grains, I don't know, it was just some crazy diet. No nuts either, no almond milk, all of this just to like clear my gut and reset my gut, which is fine. But I lost weight so quickly within those 2 weeks because I was basically just eating vegetables and chicken or fish and maybe some sweet potato. I wasn't allowed to have any dessert. I wasn't allowed to drink either. All this to say that it was a super restrictive diet and it was supposed to last 2 weeks. During those 2 weeks, I definitely saw a huge change in the way that my body looked. And that is the first time that I associated food to the way that my body looked. And that is when it went really downhill for me, because I understood that the foods that you decide to eat really do impact the way that you look. Now, back to the pill. The reason why I mentioned that I started taking it at a very young age is because around this time when I was doing so much cardio, not eating enough, and just being overly stressed, I started having a spotty period. Now, I would have maybe my period once every 2 months, then once every 3 months, then once every 4 months, and so on. And I just thought, oh, maybe it's my pill that's just overly regulating me. My body's too used to this pill, so my period is just becoming spotty. And I thought that it was somewhat normal. Then it had been about, let's say, a year almost that I hadn't had a period. And then I started finding that a little bit strange. So I stopped taking the pill thinking that it was the pill. I wanted to make sure that it wasn't influencing my body in any way that I didn't want it to. So I stopped taking it altogether at that point because it had been a year that I didn't have a period and I just thought that it was kind of strange. And I still did not have my period 6 months after that. So that's when I started becoming a little bit more concerned. It had now been about a year and a half that I hadn't had a period. I went to go see doctors and I would tell them about my amenorrhea, and they would say that, oh, it's normal when people come off the pill. They generally, have hormones that are imbalanced, and it's totally normal that you don't necessarily have your period. So I thought it was all good and all okay because I had seen professionals for it, but unfortunately that wasn't the case. There was a deeper rooted issue that I needed to address. That was clearly the over-exercising, the not eating enough, the overly stressed, and just being obsessed with food. Now, I yo-yoed a lot with my weight at this time. During the week, I was super clean and good, and then during the weekend, I would go ham, and I just didn't care. And every new Monday, I felt terrible about my weekend, and it was this cycle that had lasted maybe almost 2 years, that I was always in this tug and pull relationship with food and exercise, and just really kind of miserable that I couldn't live like everybody else. I couldn't eat like everybody else. And I knew that I was struggling, but I don't think I knew to what extent I was struggling. I thought it was somewhat normal, but clearly it was not. And then there is this other trip that I went on. I went to Argentina, and I remember that this was the trip of my life. So I just told myself before this trip, I said, just enjoy every single moment, eat every food that you want, just don't restrict yourself. I just want to enjoy myself. I just want to be present, and I don't want to think about food. I don't want to think about working out. As a matter of fact, during those 2 weeks, I did put on some weight, but that's totally normal considering that I was always under eating. So I was probably just a more normal weight at that point. But I remember that I knew that I had put on weight, and now that I look back at pictures from that trip, I'm like, I was still so tiny even coming back from that trip, and I thought I looked fat. Anyway, for me right now, it blows my mind that I used to think that about myself because I was clearly still underweight for me personally. So as I normally did, I started trying to lose that weight again by over-exercising, by cutting on calories, and now at this point, my body did not want to lose the weight at all. It was just so fed up. Losing weight just became so hard. My body did not want to let go of that fat, that little fat that I had put on during those 2 weeks. I was spending more time doing cardio. I was eating less than I ever had. And I just knew that there was, this couldn't be it. This couldn't be the life that I was going to be living. So I wasn't taking the pill at this point. It had been almost 2 years that I hadn't had a period, and I eventually went to the gynecologist to get my system checked because I was concerned about the fact that I hadn't had a period in 2 years. So I went to the gynecologist and she checked out my ovaries and everything, and there was some cysts on my ovaries. When I was explaining what my symptoms were, I was 22 at the time, so she said, "You're like a premenopausal woman." And I remember those words that she told me that I could not believe. First of all, that she would say it like that, but then also I think it really took that shock to my system almost to hear that from someone, especially a professional, that I was really damaging my body. Getting out of the gynecologist that day, I remember that I needed to change something. I couldn't be a 22-year-old that seemed like she was passing through menopause. I knew that the relationship that I had with food wasn't what I wanted. The relationship that I had with exercise was not good either. And just the relationship that I had with myself, I was very, very moody. I was not happy with myself and I knew that, and I was just very reactive. It's basically as if I was hangry all the time, which is not a very pleasant feeling for myself or for others to be around. And so I did some research that night and I fell onto this page that is from the book No Period Now What by Dr. Nicola Rinaldi. I've already spoke about this book. If anybody is going through HA, I highly, highly, highly recommend this book. It has totally helped me take the leap into eating 2,500 calories and into resting. So basically that's what I did. I read into HA, I bought the book, and I just devoured it. From one day to the next, I decided to cease all types of exercise, all forms of exercise, and just eat. And I was so hungry. Once you open the floodgates, it's like, wow, your body is so hungry. So that's what happened, and that's why I went all in. And now I am proud to say that it's been over 13 months that I've decided to stop my old habits and my old rituals and just that unhealthy relationship I had with food and exercise. It really did take a abrupt stop to everything I was doing to really change my mindset. You need to have that time alone, away from those old habits, to rebuild new ones and to truly just let your body rest. My body was so tired and so hungry, and now it's been 13 months and I've had my period numerous times. I could not be happier and prouder about that decision because honestly it's changed my life forever. I am a completely different person than I was. I'm a much happier person, and I'm just so happy that I can live a life that I am genuinely excited to live every single morning. And I have never felt better about my body either. I feel confident. I feel just like myself again, but a better version that I've ever been. So I hope this kind of helped you guys understand my context and kind of understand my backstory. I hope this kind of helped put things into perspective and understand why I talk about the things that I talk about on this channel. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you very, very soon. Have a great, great day. Oh, also, don't forget to subscribe and don't forget to like the video if you did. Obviously means a lot. I'm so happy. So I'll see you guys later. Bye.